Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where I am actually, for one, thankful this morning for the gift of technology. Are you surprised that I would say that?
A little bit.
This past week, Angie and I were working to get ahead on our podcast of this weekend. And so we tried recording this episode and things kept glitching. We had all the kids in the house running around, chaos. You could hear boys gaming and screaming. And we were concerned about lagging. And then we tried to edit and that didn't work. It was very, very glitchy podcast. So Angie is actually back down at Allie's house today and I'm in Missouri. So this is why I am grateful for technology this morning. We can re-record and make sure that we have the highest quality possible.
We'll see. Never know sometimes.
We wrapped up our trip to Hallie's house a couple of weeks ago now. And coming home, things got a little challenging, a little hairy for a hot minute, if you would.
Yeah. So our previous podcast, we joked about how I had burnt eyelids.
I mean, it was a real thing that then seemed like the least of it.
Right. And, I had burnt my lips last week. And so anyway, we're flying back Sunday night. And well, let me take you back a little bit. So my family, my mom and my sisters all have thyroid issues, whether it's Hashimoto's or celiac. And I, luckily, have not had that at all up until like recently. Like I've been tested every year for the last couple of years because it's like, okay, it's genetic. I'm bound to get it and have some of the symptoms, but have never had the elevated levels. So I got tested recently because I've been having some issues where if I have gluten, then I get like a rash around my eyes and my mouth. So I'm like, okay, it's probably likely something's off. And so numbers came back and yeah, so thyroid issues, it's not functioning right. So I have that going on. I'm sure my body is just like time to F out. Like the last 17 months, you have like put me through hell. And of course, I'm not functioning right. So when we were in Florida a couple of weekends ago, I avoid gluten, but it's like, okay, well, I can have one dessert because there's coconut cream pie at this restaurant and I love coconut cream pie. I'm like, I want to see if it's as good as my mom's. Well, that was a mistake. So
right.
For one, it wasn't as good. No. And 2, Sunday, I could tell I was starting to get itchy around my eyes and my mouth. So I had that going on. Also, if I'm out in this hot sun for a couple days straight, then I will get some hives on my chest and my neck. But I love the sun, so don't judge me. I still go out in the sun.
We're the same. And we're joking now, like, is this going to be the next thing? We buy a house in Florida and now Angie can't go out in the sun anymore? Like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah, that would be God's funny joke. Ha ha, you're not in control. I'm going to keep reminding you of this every day.
And then follow up to that, your mom's coconut cream pie is gluten-free. So
yes, so I can eat the shit out of that.
It sounds amazing right now, like it
does sound good.
A cup of coffee. All right.
Yes. So anyway, coming back Sunday, my face is itchy, my chest is itchy. I'm like not comfortable, but also on the flight, my nose was getting like super tingly in my lip. So I'm clueless. What the hell is going on? I just tie it all together, right? And we're driving home. We get home, it's like midnight on a Sunday night. And I'm like looking in the mirror and I could feel like a little bumps above my lip. And I'm like, mother of God, I am getting a fever blister. And I've only had one other time. But I could tell this sucker was going to be huge. It was like my whole my whole like nose and to my lip was just like, I just wanted to scratch my entire face and chest. It's not good.
I would just say, as a lifelong fever blister getter, since I was like 6 years old, and so it's just pretty normal for me. This was it was a large one.
Yeah.
It was one of the bigger ones I've ever seen, I would say. And I love you, and I got to kiss my wife in 2 weeks. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, poor guy.
Because it was so painful.
The crazy thing is I got super sick with it. So my lymph nodes under my chin and my like jawbone were all swollen right underneath it. On top of my lip, I look like a platypus. That's what I kept saying. That's what it felt like. And my cheek,
lip fillers, right?
Yeah, gone wrong. My cheekbones hurt like I was but I Googled it because that's what you do when you try to diagnose yourself. And it was like, you can have all these flu-like symptoms with a fever blister, but all week it was such a struggle, and I just, in those moments, I keep reminding myself like, okay, I'm just going to trust God. It's up and down, fought hard the whole week. Summer had game. I went to her varsity game. 2 nights I was in bed at 7 p.m. Did not sleep well. It was a challenging week. So
in bed, like it was normally, we're not like cuddling all the time, right? But you're fine if we rub up like our arm or leg touches each other. You're a married couple, right? She didn't want to be like touched.
No, nobody touched me.
Leave me be. Don't touch me. Like she did not feel well. It was legitimate.
Because who wants to snuggle? Well, who wants to snuggle when you feel like dog shit? Not me. Yeah, you might. You might.
No, I don't. No, I didn't mean that. I thought you were saying who wants to snuggle ever. I didn't. Sign me up.
No, when you're sick.
Yeah,
nobody wants to be touched.
Oh man. Yeah.
So
I'm glad you're feeling better, and you're looking beautiful, as we can see.
Thank you. Well, good thing we re-recorded this. When we recorded the last time, I still had the extra heartbeat on my lip. It's a whole nother growth.
I've been getting these since I was a little kid. And then
not like that. Have you had one like that?
Never like that. And the funny thing about it was that day that you got it, we were at Hallie's house. And so we had kissed that day and I didn't get anything.
Well, yeah, you thought you were. Let's be honest.
I'm a man.
You're like so paranoid.
It's like the meme.
Oh, I think I'm getting a fever blister.
Yeah. Like every time a woman is sick in a relationship, the man's like, oh, I think I have that too.
God, grow up. You do not.
I did not. No, I didn't. So,
yeah. So I was definitely
there are so many wives listening right now. They're like, oh my God, my husband, every time.
They're such wusses.
Tiniest cough. They're like, oh, I think I have the flu. My bronchitis is kicking in.
And every woman rolls her eyes and like, dear God, you're the biggest wuss.
Well, it's why men can't have babies. Like we're not equipped for labor. It's not for us.
No.
Can you imagine if a man had to deliver a child?
He would die.
That would be the funniest sitcom ever. Like if somebody had to watch a clip of a man trying to have a child, wouldn't work. So just when Angie's maybe starting to feel a little bit better last weekend, then all of a sudden things take another turn. In our life, it's just like a proverbial turn after another, it feels like.
Yeah. So we were definitely looking forward to the weekend because we had the kids and not totally insane. Carter had a game. There was stuff going on, but it wasn't like our normal weekend. We were hoping we could have some downtime. So went to Carter's game Saturday and then came home. I was still like exhausted just from the whole week. So I'm like, I'm going to lay down and just take like a 30-minute nap. So laid down. And when I woke up, I had a text from my best friend Amber, who was there for me through all of my life hardships. And Hallie was, and when that happened to her, she was there constantly showing up. When I went through my divorce, she's that one person that no matter what's going to show up. And she had texted me and said that her daughter Ava was in a car accident and she was at the university. And so I call her and I'm like, what is going on? And she told me they were waiting to get some scans done, thought she had a concussion. I'm like, are you there by yourself? And she was. So I'm like, all right, I'm coming. And this is those moments in your life when you go into the storm that you're about to face and you just do it. You face whatever God is putting in front of you. Because on that day, it was exactly 17 months from when I got the call, almost at the exact same time. So it was like around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And also she was at the exact same hospital Hallie was at. And so I come out of my room. Summer's there. Summer comes out of her room, sees the same look on my face. And she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, Ava was in a car accident. I'm going to go be with Amber. I will keep you posted. And that was PTSD for Summer too. Like Summer immediately started crying. Like it's just this, you relive every emotion that you felt in that moment. And that will never go away. That is ingrained in your soul. So I make the drive and I'm like, oh my God, like in my mind, it's like I'm reliving the exact same thing that happened.
Because you're making the same.
The same
road,
drive,
same
road, same hospital. I pull up and I get out of my car, and these girls were driven by ambulance. So, they were okay for the most part, but all taken to the hospital. And I pull up and a helicopter's landing. And I mean, I'm literally like, are you effing kidding me, God? I could barely, that helicopter is coming in and I'm getting out of my car. Like I almost went to my knees and just lost it and had to get it together to walk into the ER, because that moment when that happened with Hallie and we watched her land, not knowing what the hell we were facing. I mean, I will never, ever forget that. Watching that, seeing that, having the cops say you've got to go back inside.
Yeah,
like
you can't up there.
You can't see this. Anyway, so I do think our bodies are amazing because you can withstand way more than you think you can imagine, because your cortisol levels kick in and your body does this like beautiful thing of really protecting you. Like you armor up and you go into that storm. If you didn't have the cortisol levels going, I don't think you could walk. You know what I'm saying? Like It carries you through that. So, I've got the platypus lip going on. I'm exhausted from fighting so hard the whole week, and it just keeps piling on, But you do that to show up for other people. When you know the fear, that they're scared, that the unknown and not being in control is like the worst emotion that you can experience. So 4 girls were in a car that rolled over several times, and there's bumps and bruises and major concussion. But somehow, through God's grace and angels protecting them, wrapping their wings around that car, they all survived. 3 of the 4 supposedly didn't have seatbelts on. I don't know how none of them were hurt worse, but I got home that night, like about 10:30, and that's when the cortisol levels drop. You're at home and you are not protected anymore. And like Aric just held me because you go limp and you let everything out. And I just feel for all the moms that are so worried about their kids. I felt all of that. Like I was worried about Hallie for so long. And then just to know what a mama's heart feels like in those moments when you are so scared for your kids and you can't pull them out of the pain. In the hospital, Ava was having a hard time and scared and all the things. And you just think about these moms that like have to take their kids to chemo appointments where they know what's coming and it's painful and you're afraid and they have this like long journey in front of them. And that just storm that you weather every day, you only can get through that by the grace of God, I feel like. And so all the mamas were so heavy on my heart. And I got up that Sunday morning and went into my closet. And in my closet, I have 2 hooks, and it's 2 of Hallie's hats, her cowgirl hats. And one of them was laying on the floor in my closet. It fell off this hook. So I pick it up and I hang it back up. And I'm looking in my closet, figuring out what I'm going to wear to church. That's a whole process in itself. And it fell off the hook again, like behind me. I'm like, what the hell? So I hang it back up.
I heard something going on in your closet. I was still laying in bed. I was like, what is she doing in there?
Yeah.
But it was the hat falling.
The hat fell. So then I take a shower and I come back in my closet and it's laying on the floor again. And I'm like, okay, like what in the world? 3 times it fell. And I'm like, okay, Hal's trying to send me some sort of message or something. And so anyway, we come back from church and it was on the floor again. So 4 times. And it never fell again. And I knew it wasn't going to fall again because I knew the falling 4 times was the 4 girls in that accident. I just knew it. And I knew it wasn't going to fall again, and never fell again. So it's like, okay, Hallie, you're bragging right now, like that you want to make sure we know that you wrapped your angel wings, you and God wrapped around that car, so you protected him. Another crazy thing.
I feel like this was her being like, I didn't try to forewarn you.
Well, she did. So here's the wild thing that we just had this realization this week is that Hallie always called Amber her second mom. And, you know, I love the best friends that love your kids like their own, and vice versa. And Hallie loved Amber and went to her for a lot of things. And they've had, you know, she's like second mom. And that's what she always told her. And so about 6 months ago, Amber had a bunch of weird stuff going on in her house. So all together within like 2 days, her smoke alarms, fire alarms, went off like 3 different times randomly. No reason. And if we have the same security system, like it is so obnoxious, piercing. It's not like your smoke alarms beeping a little bit. It's your entire security system is going off crazy. And so that they couldn't figure out what it was. Change all the batteries 3 different times that happened, and has not happened since. The same time, her coffee cup fell off the counter, like crashed to the ground with no one around.
Yeah,
Very
it wasn't
bizarre.
on the edge. It was on the counter. So
Yeah.
was, yeah.
And then in the middle of the night, she woke up because she felt like something was going on. Like she just woke up and she looked at her clock and it was 11:27. And then her clock started flickering and the 11 was switching back and forth with a 4. And she was like, what in the world? And so she ended up videoing it. And by the time she got her phone out, the 7 had changed to an 8, but she's got a video of it being it's 11:27 and it moves to 4:27, 4:28. Anyway, she literally was so freaked out. She's like, oh my gosh, I feel like Hallie is trying to tell us something. So fast forward to Ava's wreck. And this past week, Amber was talking with another friend about like signs that she's getting from Hallie and instantly remembered the clock changing. And so 11:27 is the date that Hallie was shot. 4:27 is the day of Ava's accident. Her fire alarm went off 3 times. There were 3 fire trucks at the scene. And the coffee cup crashing to the ground, could that be the car crash? Like all the signs. And the insane thing is that that's us connecting it. How many signs do we all receive that God is real? He is with us all the time that we don't even see. There's millions
Yes.
that our brains can't even like connect the dots. It's wild. So then we go to church on that Sunday, and it's literally, the sermon is all about anxiety and how it stems from this distracted world. Another reason why we don't see the signs, because we're in such a distracted world. We're blind to what's really happening around us. Everybody's heads are in their phones. I'm guilty of that. I mean, I have my phone on me all the time. And how it was interesting because the discussion was about we as humans are terrible at assessing risk. What we think is a risk is nothing compared to what the real risks are. So one example that was used that just hit home for me is that like you feel like you are handling risk by putting Life 360 on your kid's phone so you know where they are. But what about Life 360 for their soul and their heart? Do you know where your kid's soul and hearts are? You know physically where they are, but do you know that part of it? And it's like it's a truth. It's a truth. I'm not always good at that, right? We're in such a chaotic world that do we really know?
And the overall messaging, I think, behind that is like, it doesn't matter that we know where you are, even you or I are physically. It's where we are in our hearts so that we can be with Hallie again. Like that bigger story is how healthy is our soul versus how healthy is our physical body, because our physical body will always fail us. So we just misassess the risk. And what you said before that, we've had to about this recently too. And I was walking with a gentleman this week. His name is Brent, really good guy that I'm becoming friends with. And we talk about Jesus. That's what we're walking and talking about. And the thing with our phones, I as well, guilty, but the devil works on us through the noise, our phones, disconnecting us. And one of the things that really helped me over the last 6 months of my life to actually kind of start feeling better and making positive changes is I'm spending a lot more time in silence with God, because that's where we do, you, me, anyone listening. If you really want to connect with God, if you want to know Jesus, get comfortable sitting in the silence and having conversations with him, because it's all the distractions, the phones that our kids are on, video game, all those distractions can be good in moderation, like anything, right? Everything can be good in moderation, but we don't take the time to sit in the quiet to get that one-on-one time with Jesus. We're going to miss the soul connection and healing our souls and having that soul health.
Yeah. I mean, that's one reason why I'm down at Hallie's house this weekend for the quiet. Like I crave that. I crave the peace and the time to really like sit in my thoughts, in my emotions, in the pain, and really talk to God. Like I last night just in the quiet talked to God and Hallie. And I went for a walk last night, and I'm not listening to podcasts or music or anything. It's quiet. Quiet so I can actually process. There's so much in this world. Like even just using the Hallie mama bird analogy of feathers matter. Like you're going to be missing feathers. The last 2 weeks, I was missing a ton of feathers because you're going to experience sickness, trials, setbacks, all of that rip your feathers out. But you have two choices. Are you going to stay grounded out and not fly? Or are you going to fight to build that strength to fly as high as you can? And the only way to build that strength is through God, through quiet, through prayer, through pausing in it so you can feel it and process it, gain your strength, and go.
Yeah, I got an hour bus drive to get to Dane's baseball tournament this morning. And I will spend time. I used to have been just full on radio as loud as I can hear it, keep my mind busy. And I will spend significant time this morning in silence and just visiting with God. And something I'm really working on is surrendering things to him, right? My thoughts, where I'm going. And you can't do that when the radio's blasting or when you're talking on your phone to stay busy in the car. For some of you listening, it's a great time to turn it all off and have some one-on-one time just talking to Jesus and figuring it out. So yeah, in my drive to Dane's game, and we've talked about this before, none of us pray perfect prayers, right? We just don't know, but that's a great time to work on how you pray to God, and it can just be a conversation. And so for me this week, and one of the places that I'm really trying to go, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, is just the surrender, because I have been, and I think, Angie, you're like this to a degree as well. Like we both are drivers, like we both want to get things done. And so this healing process that we're in, sometimes you just try to push it through. It's like, God, I want this relationship. I want to be well. And I know you're the way to help me get well, help me be a better husband and help me be a better father. And so I'm like trying to fight and claw my way to Jesus. Did you ever read the Far Side little comic deal? I love it. They were crazy. Some people that are listening used to do Far Side back when they were a thing. And there's one that you've seen memes of online where it's this kid trying to get into the school for the gifted. So he's supposed to be really smart, and he's like trying to push his way in the door, and there's clearly a sign that says pull. Super funny trip. And it's a great analogy in the conversation I was having with my friend Brent this week of how we try so hard, and Jesus says, stop. Like, just lay it down. You trying is only making this harder. It's almost prideful that I think I can, I'll get to you, Jesus. He's like, you're already here. I'm just waiting for you. If you drop it all and surrender it to me and let me, the door just opens, right? How many times when we try so hard, we don't get anywhere. But then when we aren't trying and we're actually doing the process properly, the doors open and things in our lives start to fall more into place, which I feel like you and I would love it if for a little while we could have things feel like they were falling into place, right? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And a prayer that I'll be praying today as I'm headed to Dane's baseball game and back is just, Jesus, surrender these areas of my life, right? That's areas of, as I've shared with Angie in the last couple of days, areas in our marriage. I need to be better at surrendering. Areas with our children, my job, everything that my health, everything that I'm doing. Jesus, help me to surrender these things to you so that I can have a closer, deeper relationship connection with you. And I don't think it goes the same for our marriages and with our children, right? If I surrender certain things to you, who knows what doors that opens for a marriage and by, opportunities with our children, all those things.
It takes strength, but it also takes being brave to do that, to like let go. Vulnerability, being brave. I think we pray for strength to do that because it's so hard. It's so challenging to like let go of your fears, let go of your fears and to face whatever is coming your way, which reminds me of my second book.
Yes.
Are You With Me? That's the name of it. So
super excited.
That's what it's about, is like facing your fears, being brave. You have no idea when you do that, what's in front of you. So I thought, since we're talking about this, it's just relevant topic, that I would just read the first snippet of the book to give everybody a little taste of what Are You With Me is about. And I know I think I've shared this before, but why I named it Are You With Me is because I woke up in the middle of the night one night and there was this voice right next to me. It was like a man's voice, not scary, not anything, but very like direct. Are you with me? And it was not a dream. It wasn't Aric.
Next to her, and it wasn't me. So the next day,
and
she
I
didn't
just
see anything last night, right? And I was like, no. And she knew it wasn't my voice anyway, but
no. And it was just like, it was a question that I needed to answer. I mean, I matter of factly was like, heard it and was like, yes, like I am with you. And I do feel like it was God saying, like, do you trust me? Are you with me? So that's the title of the book. And I let the words, I'm starting to write more, as you guys will see on social media, starting to write more and share more of that, whether it's like short poems, but it's all things that just I'm feeling at the moment. And that's also therapeutic for me too. But everything that I write is like real stories. So the Are You With Me title is real. And the story, the second book, is a real story. So you ready for me to read it?
yes, please.
Okay.
The suspense.
All right. So it's a sequel to the first book. Mama Ange snuggled up with her favorite blanket in the warm summer sun shining down her face. Her nest was empty. She was thinking about her Halliebird and the amazing adventure she was on. Mama Ange remembered how Halliebird would return from her flights filled with excitement, sharing story after story of her fearless fun. They always involved one particular type of animal, horses. Mama Ange feared the big animals, but Halliebird had no fear. She felt so connected to them. She would land on their back and ride so fast and so free. Okay, that's all I'm going to share with you now.
Love it. It's a great
story. Mm-hmm.
I've read it all, so I'm biased, but it's a great teaser for everybody. So,
yes.
Yeah, really good. And I do love when you write, because as I tell people all the time, you are an incredible writer. You were born to write. You inspire and help other people through your writing. And so I'm looking forward to more of that as well. So this podcast started because we were a big blended crazy family doing a lot of crazy things. And so we were going to help people that way. And that's how our life is being lived today. Angie is handling some things for us in Florida with landscaping that had to be done. And you're doing a book signing down there today.
I am. I'm getting ready to go to Sundog Books in Seaside to do a little book signing for a couple hours during their farmers market.
I hope you sell a bunch of books, baby.
Well, I don't have a bunch of books with me, so we'll see.
Right. and then I'm headed to help Coach Dane's traveling baseball team all day. And then tonight I'm supposed to go to a concert with Carter, who, taking that time with him. He graduates in a couple of weeks, high school, and then goes off to college. So trying to get all that in. So we're doing the big blended blessed thing. And I'll pick you up from the airport tomorrow night. I look forward to snuggling with you because you'll feel okay.
Yeah, I'll let you kiss me.
Oh, you guys heard it. Check back. All right. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today. We hope that you have a wonderful week, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to Blended Blessed and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.